The Immaterial Games Podcast with these guys. Oh, I'm watching four unhappy Canadian boys
For
play games of Magic the Gathering. They're playing Commander with decks that they've never seen before.
all right, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, blind Commander. So they didn't even. All they had was a name of a deck and the converted mana cost of the Commander. Other than that, they didn't know what other cards were in the deck.
Sounds like a
So
very interesting way of playing Magic.
yeah, it was fun. Yeah, they had a dude come in and with an attaché case and just like, right, here's your deck and here's your deck, and they looked confused, so it was fun.
Yeah, I haven't. I was just gonna say this is like, I know how to play Magic. I've never been able to get into it, mostly because I have a problem with collectible card games.
Mm.
That's I just I have whenever I start opening packs for a card game, I'm just like I have to keep opening them. You know, it's a
Oh,
very
I know.
it's a very addictive sensation.
Oh, I know where you're coming from. Yeah,
Money just disappears into trading cards.
yeah. The physical loot box, if you will.
Yeah, you
But
might say it's what kind of inspired the loot box sensation.
yeah. Except digital things
Except,
with no value. You know.
except, I don't actually buy loot boxes because I recognize that they're just a less tangible and therefore less valuable version of them. Something I already don't do in real life, and that I have a
Mm.
problem with in real life. So I don't buy loot boxes, but I can and used to buy trading cards, and it was detrimental to my income.
Mm.
Less than a year after I stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh, which was my previous card game craze, I got to fly to another country and go on vacation for the first time in my life. So I think there's a direct correlation there.
Yeah. So yeah, So there we go. That's our I'd say that's our PSA for this. That's be loot box aware. When the draft stops, stop. So yeah, with that PSA out there, we will move on. This is the Immaterial Gamers podcast, episode number 33. I don't want to don't wanna go anywhere, but this is being recorded on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh,
So
shisha,
technic-
shisha.
so technically, this is episode 33.
No, I feel like I should have alcohol, but I don't really feel like it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got the vodka here, but it's not, it's not viable to. Well, I mean, it's viable to podcast drunk, but why would we? It's the middle of the afternoon or early afternoon, depending on our location. I'm Ryan, and the voice you can hear there is Duncan.
That's me. Uh, that song. That's like what about everything bad about gingers or whatever. It's like, who should
Oh
have
yeah,
never been born ginger. That there's a part in that song where it was like it calls us leprechauns and evil Irish drunks. I just want to point out I am Scottish. I am not Irish.
yeah, that is actually the same. I also have partial Scottish blood in me and part Yorkshire blood, so I
That's
consider.
a region. That is a
Yeah.
location somewhere in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, yeah. Well, basically, what that decides is that I can be doubly angry. I could be the
Doubly angry.
rowdy angry of someone from Glasgow, but then I can also be the picky, cynical angry that says that I want white brick instead of the red brick that you get everywhere else in the world. So it works out. If I want to be angry, I can just go to town. But I just want to be a bit more normal. I don't want to be angry until we get to the news bit later on. So we will look at a more enjoyable section of our recording times, and we will go to what's been played.
What's being played?
Now this is going to be an interesting one because I don't think I've actually played anything new this week. And Duncan, have you played anything interesting this week?
That is a great question. Man, you would have thought that maybe I would have thought about this more than not at all. Well, we were playing some Worms Revolution.
Oh yeah,
I know that wasn't a week ago, but I mean, that's since the last time I've been on. So we've
yeah,
been playing
it's
that.
still fine.
Yeah, I haven't played a Worms game in a long time. It was a lot of fun recording that little trilogy.
Yeah, it's some good things. As this podcast will come out, we will have had the second episode of the Worms trilogy out that I've lovingly titled the Buffalo of Bananas.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've watched the first episode, and I'll probably get around to the second one at some point.
yeah. But yeah, it's fun to watch. I mean, it's just great how sort of it's weird how ageless the Worms games are.
Yeah, it's like they make new ones, and they have little updates and whatever, but they're all they're all fun. They're all great games.
Mm.
God, it really takes me back. One of the earliest multiplayer games I played online was a Worms game. It was like, I can't remember the title of it. It was somewhere in my library, but it was
It wasn't World Party by any chance, was it?
Worms World Party. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I mentioned this last week when I was talking about Worms WMDs. It was Worms World Party or Worms Ninja Rope Race, as it sort of ended up in its twilight years.
Yeah, the Ninja Rope was really interesting in that game. But yeah, I played that all the time with my cousin Terry. We played endless hours in Worms. We would make custom maps. We would play around with different game types where you'd modify. Maybe sometimes you'd have bullets leave giant holes. Sometimes you'd have explosions are twice as effective on the land.
Mm.
Sometimes you'd have like instant Armageddon. Where like you have. I mean, like instant sudden death kind of thing, where like the water is rising from the very beginning, things like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we were just, oh god, so much fun playing that game. My cousin got really good with the rope in that game. Like, he did not need any other travel, tools or anything like that. He just ninja roped everywhere he went. He figured out how to like basically, like, almost like use it as like a kite almost. Like he just, he could point the rope at the ground and just go straight up, and then like just fall down to wherever he was trying to go, almost like a great big axe.
See, I'm envious of those who can use the ninja rope properly, and it's just like, I'm not one of them people. I can, do a simple get up and land, but to do like the weird acrobatics that pro ninja ropers can do, yeah, very, very envious.
Yeah, no, he was good. I was never as good as him. I never even tried to be as good as him. I did not understand how the rope works. I still don't. I understand it even less now, because I think they've changed it a little bit.
Mm.
Just doesn't quite feel the same as it used to.
No, it has changed a little bit over the iterations. But, you're saying you're playing Revolution.
Yeah, we were playing Revolutions together. We recorded 3 games. I was in 2 of them.
Yep.
We were kind of planning, I think, on 4, but things just didn't quite line up. I had things to do that evening, so I wasn't available for a 4th game.
Yeah, it'll be fine, because I think it's probably safe to say that Worms will end up back on the PlayStation rotation at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
It was hilarious. We were all getting to grips with a game that ageless as Worms is, it's one of those that you have to pick up and sort of get to grips to again.
It's the game
every
is
now and again.
The most fun way to play that game is to not have any idea how to play it and just bumble your way through and watch other people bumble their way through it.
Yeah. It's just great. Just try and learn how to do crafting on the fly in the new ones, or trying to walk and grab something, and not realizing that mines that are always in the games.
Confusing the shoot button and the jump button. Yeah, that's always a good time.
Yeah. Which is the worst fucking thing, by the way, because me, Matt, and D, not long after we did the Revolution recording, we all realised that we did actually have Worms WMD in our inventory, and they've changed the Team 17 changed the control scheme. The jump and shoot were then mixed up.
Oh, they swapped them around. They circumposed the. Oh,
yeah,
God.
So where it was A to jump in Revolution and X to fire, it was the other way round, and it was great.
It's like I kind of get it, like intuitively from 30 years of gaming history. A button is usually the jump button. And
Yeah,
people recognize that universally. So to have it the other way around is a little bit weird, so I understand the change. But people who are used to the Worms scheme, especially people who've just played a different Worms game, would be really thrown off by that.
yeah, and I was definitely. Matt and D had the keyboard, so they were kind of knew what they were. Well, you kind of get a better idea for stuff on that, but yeah, it was just odd. But based on that though, that's to say we are going to get this back on the rotation because I've got a plan for a scheme called Metal Gear Wormage.
Okay, what does that mean?
So we have our 4 players, and you have your 4 worms, but you have no weapons other than prod,
Okay.
and and then every turn 3 crates drop on the field.
Oh,
So
they all have different
like
stuff in them.
yeah, so like Metal Gear Solid. Oh yeah, so it's like Metal Gear Solid at that point. You've come in with nothing. You have to scavenge your gear off the field, but then just turn it on that any weapon can come out of the crate. So it's just it could be a long game, or it could be carnage immediately, depending on what comes out of the crates. So yeah, it's something to think of. But I've got a question for you on this as well, then, Duncan.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it as a spot call question, as you will. What is your favourite weapon out of the Worms games?
My favorite weapon is probably got to be the Holy Hand Grenade. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's a powerful weapon, but it's also just hilarious. I love it. It's just you throw it, it goes ding ding ding, and you go hallelujah, and then bam! It's like just a massive circle of death.
Yeah,
Nothing inside survives.
yeah, and especially with like with how we were recording, just the timing between the holy hand grenade going off and the explosion happening, you can get some like one-liners out, some last bits of "Why did you do this to me?" out of your opponent
Yeah, and it's like
before it
like
goes off.
there are crazier weapons like they got the classic concrete donkey and you've got the banana bombs, but I find
Yeah,
those to be a little bit more wild and unpredictable. A holy hand grenade well placed is just like can't go wrong with that.
yeah. See, for me,
Except for when you kill yourself accidentally. Spoiler alert.
well, yeah. Well, I experienced that quite a lot, so don't worry about it. But I would try and go. I would say my favourite weapon would actually be the old granny.
Old Granny's good.
Just this, I mean, in a weird game, it's odd in the fact that these worms are supposed to be tiny, and the destruction that they're causing seems massive to them, but they're generally in like a little box, and especially with Revolution, and you actually see all the real size stuff in the background and the foreground. So to then have this tiny old deer, this tiny old woman, it it baffles on a meta perspective, but yeah, and she farts.
I never really thought about that. And then she fights. I love that. It's just like it's like this weird like almost like philosophical discussion of like how is this granny so tiny? How big are these worms? What is reality? Also she farts.
Yep, it's just great. It works. It works on an entire meta and weaponized perspective. But yeah, definitely. If you ever get time, you don't need to play all. You don't need to go and buy the new hotness every now and again. Just go back. Go back and play Worms.
Yeah, I have to say
Believe
that
me.
was the first time. That is the first time in my life I've played with more than 2 player, and that was I have to say it was significantly more fun. Like I
Yeah.
tried playing it just 1v1 with Stefan a long time ago before we ever started Immaterial Gamers, and like it was okay. Like we played 2 games, and I was like, nah, that was fun, but I was like, nah, I don't really want to do that anymore. It just didn't have
Mm.
quite the same magic as it did when I was a young lad. And I couldn't tell if that was because of who we were playing or because we weren't next to each other to see our reactions or things like that. I wasn't sure what the cause for that lack of magic was. But playing 4 player, that was a lot more fun. I had a lot more fun doing that, and I would definitely do it again.
Yeah. Well, next time we get a play session going where we do Worms, we'll definitely make sure you got the call for that one.
And I also I was reminded of another thing I did this
Mm.
past week. I don't mean to take up too much time on my what's been played section, but I was reminded by Stefan that him and I did test out the two new operators in Rainbow Six Siege that just came out not too long ago.
Ah, yes.
They are, if I recall correctly, Mozzie and who was the other one? Mozzie and something else. It sounded like a transformer. I remember that.
Ooh, we have
Who's
to
the
see
second
this.
Let's see. Mozzie and Gridlock. That's it. Gridlock.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so basically we got Gridlock, who is the offensive character, who's a, shall we say, stout woman.
Okay.
Big on, like, heavy weaponry, LMGs, things like that. And her special ability is she throws out an item that deploys into sort of a grid of, like, spiked hexagon things.
Mm.
Like, it's a fairly large grid, like, probably at least, probably 7 or 8 foot diameter, roughly, on the floor.
Okay.
And presumably it hurts and slows people who step on it. I haven't actually seen people affected by it yet, because people have been generally avoiding it. And Mozzie, the defending character, deploys these, like, spider bot little drone things that are stationary traps, which can hack and take control of enemy drones.
Huh.
She can deploy up to 3 per match, and thus she can steal up to 3 drones per match, including Twitch drones, to answer that question.
Oh, God.
So you can turn enemy drones against themselves, and if they happen to have a Twitch drone, you can then start shooting them with needles and destroying their traps and such, whatever else they've got. So it's pretty fun.
Oh, perfect.
I have not particularly enjoyed playing Gridlock. I find her ability not very useful. It's just one of those things where, like, you put it down and it's just like, well, now what? I'll just walk around that, I guess. I can see it from a mile away. It's not like, you're not fooling me, Plus, it's like, it's an ability that requires someone to move in order to be harmed by it. And when you're on the offense team, you're advancing into a group of people who, generally speaking, are not moving as much as you are.
Yeah.
Which diminishes its usefulness. Like, I could see fringe cases where, like, maybe you're playing a bomb defusal and, like, you're split across 2 rooms and, like, you could cut off access between those rooms by deploying the trap. That could be disruptive, for sure. But generally speaking, I don't see it I don't see it catching on. Mozzie, on the other hand, is a ton of fun. I love Mozzie. She's like one of my new favorite. Actually, I keep mixing them up. For some reason, I just assume that they're both girls. They're not. Mozzie does kind of look like a chick with the helmet on, though. To be fair, but Mozzie's a guy, and I love taking enemy drones. There's, on the total opposite end of the spectrum, where, like, an immobile trap on the offense team is kind of worthless, the direct inverse of that is a camera that can move on the defending team. And that is so huge. It's like, I don't know, it's like, Echo is really, is great and all, but, like, the fact that I can take, reconnaissance and information away from them by stealing their drone, and then also add information to my team with the same action is a big deal. Like, it's a twofold advantage. And I can have up to 3 at once. I can just switch back and forth, covering them from different angles, And when you're on the offense team and your drone is coming up near a Mozzie trap, you get a little indicator saying that you're close. And so that it kind of warns you that you're getting close so you can kind of avoid it. But what Steph and I found out that's really interesting is you can lay down, like, a mute jammer, for example, which catches drones. And, some people will avoid the mute jammer. Some people will try to jump around it and get caught by it. Or some people just run into it because it's like, well, whatever, I don't care. Yeah. But if the mute jammer jams the drone and they lose the ability to control it, Mozzie can then put down a trap like right next to the jammer and steal a disrupted drone and gain possession of it and start using it, because drones on your side are not affected by the jammer.
Ah,
So you
good
can,
combos.
yeah, it's sort of like a like a fly trap thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really cool combo, and I really like Mozzie. Her weapons are not very strong, but she's really good at gathering information from enemies.
Well, that works. I mean, how many operators do they have in Rainbow Six Siege now?
I
It's
want
gotta
to
be.
say, I want to say they have like somewhere between 50 and 60, something like that.
Yeah, because they've been doing that, haven't they? With the sort of every new operation, they do like 3, 4 operations a year. End up coming out with a pair of operators each time.
Yeah, for a little while they were doing like 2 on one side, 2 on the other side, and
Mm.
I wasn't really crazy about that. I definitely prefer the 1-on-1 approach.
Yeah,
You know, one offense and one defense.
and that'll that sort of works, and sort of provides people with a lot more sort of gameplay option rather than being forced to that point to like attacker or like defender, and considering that matches require you to have a sort of combination of both,
Yeah, you got to be able
well,
to
the
play
skill
both
level
sides.
anyway. Yeah, so
Yeah, no, it's like having so many characters so that like there's always gonna be at least one attacker that you like and at least one defender that you like or that you're good at is it's good, and having so many characters who work well with characters or who counter others or are tech against other characters, it does create a very interesting metagame where it's just like, okay, we should have at least one of these types of characters and at least one of these types of characters so that we can counter them having this or doing this.
mm.
It's
Yeah,
it's a great game. I haven't played it for a while because of just timing reasons. I've just been so busy with school and work and stuff. But I really enjoyed getting back into it. I'd like to play more of it.
coolios. Right, well, thank you very much for that. And what I was doing there while you were talking about Siege there, and there may have been some disruptive sounds of me clinking a glass and dropping stuff, that's because I was getting my Nintendo DS ready, just to confirm the games that I've been playing this week. Now, I've been, PC gaming a lot, but it was just more Resonance of Fate to prep for more role-playing Nottingham games. But while I've been doing that, I've been playing Pokemon Blue.
Pokemon Blue.
Yeah, went back right with the classics. But I've been playing it with the challenge. So there's this streaming, the streaming community on Twitch. When they play Pokemon, they want to play it, a little bit weird. They want to do a little bit of a challenge. So what they do is what's known as the Nuzlocke run.
Oh yes, good old Nuzlocke.
Oh
Give
yeah.
us a rundown of the Nuzlocke rules, sir.
So generally, there's like little bit of house rules here and there.
There's some variation, but give us the basics.
The basics. The challenge to complete an entire run of Pokemon using a limited amount of Pokemon, on the idea that when said Pokemon faints, you are unable to use it again.
It dies, quote unquote. You must release the Pokemon and not use it anymore.
Release it or box it.
Yeah,
One
it's
or the other.
unusable. It is dead.
Yeah. And the challenge is then further increased by the fact that you can only capture the first Pokemon you encounter on each route, cave, sea.
Everything that has a
Area.
new name counts as a new area.
Yeah. So, then you are challenged at that point using limited Pokemon of types that you may not be comfortable with coming up in areas where you could have at any time one of your Pokemon just going bye bye. And yeah, if you get to the end, you beat the Elite Four, whoop-de-doo, you did it. If you don't, oh well, new run. But yeah. The other optional rule on that is that every Pokemon you catch generally must be nicknamed to provide a bit of emotional value for when it eventually
give you
kicks in the
some
bucket.
attachment to it. So you're
Yeah,
motivated to keep it alive and sad when it is not alive.
yeah. But so based on that, I'm not in a streaming setup, but I've just decided to do my own home Nuzlocke run and use Pokemon Blue for that option, which is pretty damn difficult because of the way that the TMs work in the game and the HMs. But it's only a small run. I've not gone very far, but I've got my first 4 Pokemon. I went and chose Squirtle as my starter Pokemon for the challenges, considering you come up against Grass type pretty early on. But then,
Squirtle's a good start. It's
yeah,
the statistically what the strongest of the three. If I am if I am to be believed, if the internet is to
yeah,
be believed.
yeah. No, I think you've got that kind of right because I was speaking to Martin about this as well. It's like, well, technically, something like Squirtle starts off in a weaker area. The potential for power is better, while Fire is the easy mode at the beginning and then just gets a bit caught up later down the line.
By
But
fire at the
and
easy mode, you mean it's weak to the first two gyms, right?
yeah, well, yeah, but then the attacking and capturing Pokemon bit at the beginning is balanced out easy. It's balanced. It's Pokemon. It's balanced. But
Balance, quote unquote. I mean, it's hard to balance 900 Pokemon, but yeah, it's as balanced as it can be.
yeah, I mean, I only have to deal with 150 in this one, so 151. Eh.
Yeah.
But
God, though, Nuzlocke in the original games, that's going to be such a freaking nightmare. The first games are so hard. They're
yeah,
like probably the hardest game in the series.
yeah, and going strong. Why don't I? But yeah. So I've got my 4 Pokemon. I've got my Squirtle, who's called Drippy.
Ew. It sounds kind of gross, actually.
Yeah. First thing I encountered was a Pidgey on Route 1, so he's Kakar.
Well, that's good for flying.
Yeah, that works pretty easily enough. Then I've got a Rattata because Route 2 decided, yeah, here I have a Rattata. He's called Chomp.
Chomp, yeah.
And then I'm in the Viridian Forest at the moment, which granted me a Caterpie called Stringy.
Well, I mean,
It's not the greatest run at the moment, I must admit, but
it could be, yeah, a Pikachu would have been cool, but, it's a Butterfree. You can evolve it pretty quickly.
yeah,
It's an easy tier 3, as it were.
yeah. So we'll see how it goes. I may carry on, have periodic updates on how it's running, but yeah. So I was playing that. This was basically inspired by a Twitch streamer on at the moment. Goes by the name Bengineering, and he's running a Nuzlocke run, and has took it to an even more logical extreme. As he's running Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, I think it's Heart Gold he's playing, as a D&D campaign.
D&D.
Yeah, it's the Class Lock campaign. So one of the chat members there had set out some rules, but it's like it takes it even deeper. So the rules of Nuzlocke still exist, but in addition, each Pokemon that he catches then has to be assigned a class, which have their own sort of restrictions. He's playing it a little bit differently because he's playing it with a randomizer. So
Dude,
he's
Nuzlocke
challenging himself even
randomizer?
further.
That's pretty scary.
Yeah,
So, like, when you say
so,
classes, what does that mean? Explain.
So he basically attaches a D&D class to each Pokemon. So, for example, his starter Pokemon, the name eludes me initially, but he's made it a Barbarian, which restriction is at that point that the Barbarian cannot switch out once it starts attacking. So, if you attack another Pokemon, you are in with that Pokemon until the opponent faints or they retreat, and then you can switch out. And they can't use items and stuff like that. Some have other different classes, like a rogue can go in and switch out. And there's a lot on there. There's when his stream's going, which he does the Pokemon streams on Sundays. There's a whole list of restrictions and classes. I might even put it in as a link just so people can see it. But yeah, it is ridiculous. And because it's D&D, it follows the same rules of death saves on there as well. So when his Pokemon faint, he then has to roll d20s to determine whether the Pokemon lives or dies. And it follows the same rules as D&D 5th edition. So you roll a 20-sided dice, 10 or above, or 10 to 19, that's a success. And 20 is a critical success, and the Pokemon lives. On the other side of that, if you roll a 2 to a 9, that's a failure. And roll a 1, Pokemon dies immediately. So, yeah. And then with the
Roll a
fact
1, Pokemon dies immediately and explodes violently, dealing damage to the other Pokemon.
yeah, Voltorb self-destruct. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. The randomizer that he's got doesn't just randomize the Pokemon he encounters. It randomizes starters. It randomizes the moves that each Pokemon have, but they still stay in the Pokemon themselves still stay their type. So it can lead to odd combinations. Like
It'd be really,
it is an electric Pokemon with dark moves.
yeah, I've seen some people who use a similar randomization setup. It'd be really interesting to do like an everything is normal in Pokemon except all types are randomized.
Oh god.
Because then it's like everything is, it feels like normal Pokemon except like you don't know like what Pokemon are what type or what moves are against what. So you'd have to keep like a spreadsheet of like, okay, this move worked against this, so it could be one of these, you know, or even just like, you know, even less specific than that. It's like, okay, this move works against this. Well, I'll remember that for the future, and then, you know, just keep track of like strengths, weaknesses, neutrals, things like that. You know, invent your own type list.
Oh, but yeah, it is just fun. It's fun to watch. I'd suggest watching it. I mean, it looks like it'd be an absolute nightmare to replicate. I mean, I'm just trying this on blue, so you know, just the weird idea. But yeah, no, that's one of the things. And then the other thing, very very briefly on that, I've been playing more Ace Attorney. I've been playing,
my sister is playing Ace Attorney just earlier today.
So, you know, after a long hiatus on it, I'm finally getting towards the end of the last case of the latest one that they had, which is, latest over in the West, which is Ace Attorney Spirits of Justice.
Objection.
Which, objection.
Hold it.
Take that. Anyway,
can we have an Ace Attorney game that's just called Ace Attorney Objection? All caps.
Oh, please. I'd actually just have that as a party game. And people just are like, you know, you have to do something, and then when you contradict, you know, that you must, as part of the game rules, you must throw your finger out in the air, shout objection, maybe slam a desk or two, you know. Won't do that on the
It's like
recording.
Uno, except instead of, it's like Uno, except instead of Uno, it's just like objection.
Yeah, but yeah, I've been enjoying that. I should really get to the end of it because I really love the games. I mean, let's see, what have I got there? I've got the Ace Attorney trilogy. Apollo Justice was on a DS that I don't have anymore, but I could just pick that up from the store. I've even got Ace Attorney Investigations on my phone, the detective game starring Miles Edgeworth. And then, while we're here, Ace Attorney Investigations 2, please. Thank you.
That makes sense.
That's Ace Attorney Investigations 2 over in the West. They've got it in Japan. And I interrupted you there, sorry.
I was just saying, like, that makes sense to people who play Ace Attorney. It's like, can I have this game? It's like, yes, let's have that game. My sister would probably know more than me. She's a big fan of the Ace Attorney series.
Oh, they're good. I mean, as a visual novel, they're hammy. The characters have got weird names. The settings are odd, considering that in Japan, it's set in Japan, but in the West, it's set in America, yet everyone in America adopts the Eastern style. So they watch samurai shows, and they eat ramen and stuff like that. It's okay, it's odd, but then again, it's also then this American justice system that uses the Japanese system, which is everyone's guilty until proven innocent. Defense attorneys are not really liked. Prosecutors get all the glory. There was an old Escapist magazine article that said how terrifyingly close to the truth the Ace Attorney games actually get. But, playing through. We'll get to the end of it. I don't want to spoil anything. I mean, the game's been out for a couple of years, but still don't want to spoil anything. It's fun, go play it, and if you don't have a DS, just wait for a few months because they're bringing the entire first trilogy out on the PS4, the Xbox One, and possibly PC. I'm not too sure, but yeah, that's the games that we've been playing.
Play some, go out and play some Ass Attorney.
Yeah, some ass attorney, starring old granny.
Farting Granny.
Yep, and then she farts. Anyway, we will now move on to the news.
News.
It's news time. News time. And we're going to get in with this pretty quickly, because as this time we're at 40 minutes, so we'll give it a bit more time. Anyway, let's start with Anthem. When I remember the link, here we go. So this is Anthem, story from Eurogamer, of which a fan with a lot of time on his hands and a lot of experience in mathematics has come to the conclusion that all the loot that you get in the looter shooter doesn't really matter.
First person looter.
Hmm?
I was just saying it's a first person looter.
Yeah. First person looter shooter. Well, third person looter shooter. But
whatever, man.
Yeah.
Shoot. Stuff.
Shoot.
Get.
Yeah. Shoot stuff, get stuff. Borderlands. There you go, there's a looter shooter.
He really, I mean, it may not have been the first one, I don't know, but it certainly popularized the genre.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And especially with some sort of stuff that I believe March 18th, which is Monday, or yesterday, if you'll be listening to this and you've listened to it on a Tuesday when it comes out. There's some news going on regarding the Borderlands franchise. We've been told by Gearbox not to speculate, but everyone is speculating.
Anyway. Except for me, because I didn't know until just now.
Yeah, but everyone's speculating there's going to be Borderlands 3. I'll wait until the announcement, because last time they announced Borderlands 3, it turned out to be Borderlands the pre-sequel. And then the next time people thought it was Borderlands 3, it turned out to be Borderlands 2 VR.
I would totally buy Borderlands 3. I'm a big fan of the series.
Yeah, they are awesome.
I'd love to do a co-op for the channel, honestly, if someone else was up for it, or multiple people were up for it.
Yeah, we can always look at that. Certainly get that down on the docket.
But that's all speculation, of course, which is what we're not supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be talking about Anthem.
Yeah, as we are, back on track. So this player, a user on Reddit by the name of Termperhoof. Yes, Termperhoof. Made a post called Power Scaling, Why Loot Doesn't Matter, Math. So he's went and played the game for an extended period of time, as he says, as he quotes, 3 days and 3 sleepless nights of spreadsheet writing and testing. Bring it down to brass tactics. Items in the game have a power score, and when you put them all together on your javelin, they, in turn, put all together, provide a power level.
Is it over or under 9,000?
Under. Currently always under.
Okay.
Into perspective, I'm like 440, something like that.
So they are not competitive with Dragon Ball Z characters. Got it.
No, not at all. Vegeta would come in and just roll all over the fuckers.
Anyway. Just be like, it's like, you're so cute. Big Bang Attack.
Yeah. Yeah, so the idea is that the higher the power score, the higher your power level, and the idea is you're supposed to get multiplier bonuses based on that. What this guy is theorizing is that, well, I say he's theorizing, it's been brought to attention to BioWare and EA, and they're reckoning it's some sort of thing that needs fixing. The idea is that there's diminishing returns on it. The higher power score you get, the less of a bonus you're actually getting based on each individual item that you're having. So it basically means the higher you get, technically the weaker the bonuses are. And yeah, it basically comes up to that point that it doesn't really matter how good the loot is. You're just getting weaker as you go along. But BioWare
is it kind of like the idea where it's like, you know, the difference between 1 and 2 is 100%, but the difference between 2 and 3 is only 50%, and et cetera, like so on and so on. So it's like,
effectively, and
as you get onto larger and larger numbers, the like, the absolute values just don't stack up percentage wise in terms of
mhm,
the amount of work that goes into getting those higher numbers.
yeah, and given that there's going to be always a ceiling, it makes you question whether it's worth getting to that ceiling if you're not going to benefit from it. So, yeah, but that being said, it's been picked up by BioWare, and that they're going to forget what I've just put on Discord there. Just for the benefit of those listening at home, I've tried to write the words "damn straight," and what have I wrote there? Damn
Let
star right.
what did you write? Damn star right.
Yeah, instead damn straight.
Star right. Star bright.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a bit of a mix up, but yeah, we'll see what happens with BioWare. They have separately to that did a server wide update that's now increased the drop rates for the weapons correctly as opposed to what they did a week ago, whereas they because we never really talked about it because we were doing the other experimental episode. But yeah, the Anthem released a patch where drop rates were massively increased, and then they rolled it back saying that that wasn't meant to happen. So it led with a bunch of early adopters getting really big loot, and everyone else then not being able to join in. But they've
Well,
apparently,
that
improved
sounds
that this week.
sounds disturbingly similar to Fallout 76 start, where
Yeah,
unintentional disruption in the balance of loot distribution caused problems for the players and the developers.
yep, indeed. But what they at least did on this side is that EA at least rectified this and let people know and have tried to sort something out. I'm not, we're not going, hey, good guy EA, because they shouldn't have fucked it up in the first place. However,
I would never
at
say
least
good guy EA.
no. In fact, I feel sick at the thought of it. But
I'm a little bit against EA.
yeah. But at least they're realising when fan pressure comes along, they're sorting it out, rather than going Bethesda's way of doubling down. It's like, oh yeah, we made a mistake. However, since you's all followed on that mistake, you're at fault. Like, oh no, that's not how you do it. That's not how you do it. But we'll see how that goes for BioWare going forward. So I'm stalling all over the place today. It's a bit odd, but
You need to drink some coffee or something.
yeah,
Some
it's
tea.
weird. I should maybe have some more of that cranberry juice. But we will move on to a couple of Epic Games related stories now.
Epic.
So we'll move on first with this one that Steph posted earlier on, in regarding user data, because that's a nice little subject to talk about, isn't it? The potential abuse of user data. Now, according to Eurogamer, as it stated on the 16th of March, which was Saturday, the 16th of March, it came up to the point that apparently there's a bit of a problem with privacy, according to Steam, with Epic Games' data taking. Apparently, the Epic launcher is reading and copying files from Steam user data.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah. Apparently, Epic have responded in a sense about saying that information from this file, which is called localconfig.vdf, sounds just like a normal Steam file, to be honest. However, it says that it's only sent to Epic if you choose to import your Steam friends, and then hashed IDs of your friends are then sent, and no other information from the file. End quote. There's I can see where people's concerns are on this, though. I mean, this is technically people's private data, and now where someone's agreed to it on Steam, it's also being copied over by a separate launcher and stored under the assumption that you will then agree to it. The way that we work over here, we follow the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation,
Okay.
and part of the principles of that is that no company should be taking your data without your explicit permission. And on the same side of that, when you request what companies have on you, they are obliged, within reason, to give that to you. It's a bit of an odd situation that data is flying all over the place on an opt-out basis.
Yeah, I don't really like the. I don't really like. I don't like the idea of like, it's ours unless you say it's not ours kind of mentality.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean that's
I'm more of
especially.
a I'm more of a stake your claim kind of guy, where it's like, it's like you opt for something or
Mm,
stake a claim for something, and then it becomes yours, rather than, it's just like it's unless you can prove that it's not mine, then it's mine. I
mm,
That's it's yeah,
yeah, I mean I've always been
don't
part of
like
the
it.
agreement of it should be opt in as opposed to opt out,
Yeah,
and sort of the GDPR, which took over what we used to have, which was called the Data Protection Act, sort of changed that in the rules of like data controllers companies. Yeah, had to make sure that it was a case that you opted in. So it was like we will not send you anything unless you choose to say that we can. I mean, people are still breaking the rules now on it. That we have an independent uh, regulator called the Information Commissioner's Office, or ICO, and yeah, anytime they breach these regulations, companies suffer up to a £250,000 fine or more. I don't remember, I'm saying that off my head, but yeah, basically what we're trying to say here is stop fucking with our data. Now,
yeah.
it should be said that apparently, according to that later on in the, well, actually, no, I'll say that. I was going to look at the PC Gamer article that said that that Epic doesn't take the data. That's 3 days old. Seems that the Eurogamer article has got the entire story pretty much. But yeah, companies shouldn't be stealing data from each other without, certainly without the person's permission in the first place. I guess that's all we really say about it without taking the roundabout and going backward in circles, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, Valve, Epic, stop it, Period.
Stop it. No. Slap.
Because
Bad.
Valve is not much better. Uh, while we're on the topic of Epic, it's more the subtopic of PC exclusivity. So we
PC
know
Master
that
Race.
the
PC Master Race.
yeah, definitely. So we know that Epic have been flexing their muscles recently with their new launcher. Providing better cuts for developers. The free games business that they're doing, you don't have to subscribe to do that. I mean, there is the downside of it. That's another launcher with another password that you've got to remember. But they've been doing all right. But what they've also been doing is getting developers to jump ship. Like Ubisoft now effectively exclusively deals with the Epic Store, as proven with The Division 2.
All right.
A couple of other developers have got these limited exclusive deals, like Supergiant Games with Hades. But now there's a new one by the developers of Phoenix Point, the spiritual successor to XCOM.
Oh yeah.
It was a crowd-funded tactical strategy game that, as part of their backings, were providing Steam and GOG keys for the game when it was released. Side problem with that, though, is that they've got an exclusivity deal with Epic Games. So for the first year, the game is playable on Epic, and then after that year, it'll be available on Steam and GOG, which is not great, considering now that the game's going to be released and those backers don't get those keys until a year later.
So basically, it's like people who don't play on the Epic launcher don't get to play it until it comes out
Yeah,
for like the first year.
yeah, which is not great. I mean, apparently though, they did say that, um, you know, that you can get the Epic Games Store version, and then it's DRM free, so you can just put it into your Steam library afterwards, and that the backers will get a whole year of DLC as part of this, as part of this Epic Store game key. But it's a bit bad to sort of do that after you've already received the money.
So let me okay. Let me see if I get this right. The people who backed the game, through the crowdfunding program, they are you saying that they can't play the game until the exclusivity deal goes on, or they can only play it if they like play it through Epic Games? Like, is that an option, or is it just like one of the or what?
From what it looks like, it's the latter. I should have probably confirmed that. Yeah, I'm just confirming that as we go on this PC Gamer article. It seems to be the latter. So you can get it for Epic Games, but it's you then can't get a Steam if you wanted the Steam version.
But it's locked in. It's tied up with the Epic Games store.
Yeah.
There's no cross compatibility or anything like that.
No, not at that time. And then after a year, then it would be available. But yeah, be careful with exclusivity. I can see, it's already a ball ache in the console market, and for no reason really. But just the fact that it's now jumping onto the PC market, and I'm all for competition. I think Steam has had too much cake.
Yeah, it's I'm not against that. It's having competition is healthy. It's good for the economy and good for the industry, whatever industry you're in. Competition is good.
And, I mean, I'd be probably safe to say that I'm not too fussed with the fact of exclusivity between launchers. It's just my contention with this one is this was a kick-started deal, and
yeah, it is kind of like the retrofitted exclusivity. It's not like they said up front like, hey, this is happening, so just FYI before you buy your money, this is what's gonna happen. It's sort of like it's more like after the fact. It's like oh BTW, pick one, Steam or Epic.
Yeah.
Also pick Epic because it's better. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we don't have like anywhere near the level of games or are connected to that Steam library that you've built up a lot, but we're better because we get to play earlier.
Yeah.
So if you want to play a year early, jump ship. If you want to continue playing the games that the way that you've always been playing it, then see you in a year.
Yeah.
And it's a little sucky.
It's a little disheartening to see what side of the fence you want to be on this. It's just like, but yeah. If you want, sorry, I'm losing that. Just hearing some pushing a really squeaky thing outside. So I'll try again. Yeah, if you like I say, I want competition. I don't want to be locked into something. I certainly don't want to be locked into something after I've already committed.
Yeah.
It's
like I'm altering the deal, but I don't alter it further kind of thing.
Yeah. So we'll just see. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully, it'll all work out. But
it's a very interesting landscape we're in right now. The gaming world is moving some interesting directions. I feel like there was a lot more interchangeability and collaboration, and like everyone there was competition, but sometimes people a lot of times people did have to work together on certain things to or at least share a space to do their business. But I feel like late in the last few years there's been a general trend of back towards exclusivity and back towards independence. Developers and publishers and distributors are kind of trying to become their own thing and not have to rely on other people's IPs and software to get their games out there. They want to do their own thing and stand on their own two legs instead. And I wonder how that will change the industry. If that's where things keep going, it'll be a very different industry in a few years, I think.
Yeah, it's already a bit of a terrifying situation as it is, but I just wish we could just go back to the old stuff.
just looking at how E3 has gone. It's like how now all of like the big publishers have their own like mini E3 essentially for their own company and their own games. Like they no longer even want to be in the same building as the other person. They would just want to have their own little space.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I wonder. I'm very interested to see where that's gonna go.
Definitely. Right, we will wrap this up with one last story then. Very quick one. We were talking about EA earlier. I'm back with EA we come. So Steph just posted this one in. I did read this earlier on today, but since we both looked at it, let's discuss it. EA, famous for their Sims franchises, even though they killed Maxis, the horror, you bastards, been doing what they usually do with the Sims games, providing expansion pack upon expansion pack, and generally, some work, some don't. But they're changing how Sims is going to work, to the point that they're now ending support on what they call non-metal Mac operating systems and PC 32-bit operating systems. Basically, if you're not using Windows 8 and up, updates for The Sims 4 as you've got it will result in you not being able to play the game. However, they are releasing a Legacy Edition called Sims 4 Legacy Edition. Apparently, it'll be provided to those who own the Sims 4, and will allow them to continue playing under that system, with the caveat of there will be no further bug fixes. There'll be no further support to the game, and anything released after February 2019 will also not be made available to them. So they've been given the idea of upgrade your PC and continue playing and getting all the stuff you want, or play this slimmed down version that will now work on your PCs. I guess if it was just a quick opinion on that, okay, it's interesting that they've provided this option to players and not just shut them out.
Yeah, they have they're releasing a version that will work on an older system, but as technology advances and games become more complicated, it's like you can't keep supporting the old systems forever. Eventually, you gotta be like, all right, we gotta just embrace what we have now. We're never gonna progressively stick to old technology and try to make everything compatible on every platform that exists.
But yeah, it was just something a little bit different, because there's been a lot of games that I've played where then technology has gone to a point where it's then made it unviable to play them anymore. So at least EA have tried something. Again, we're not going to say good guys EA, but it's better news to wrap things up on. You at least have a Sims to play. Maybe I should do a Sims game at some point.
Why not?
But that's just a trailing thought, something that can be done after the end of this podcast. So, first of all, thank you, Duncan, for being here.
Yeah, no problem.
Providing insights.
It's I feel really tired. I don't know. It's something about the podcast being later in the day today for me is like,
yeah,
I'm a little beat.
Yeah, it's a bit more of the slower podcast. I mean, by the time you all see it, it'll have been edited out. All the weird ers and ums that we've been doing will be condensed into a bit more of a viable podcast. However, if you enjoyed this more chill podcast, then please do the like, you share, you subscribe, you things, which if you're now watching the YouTube videos, will have end cards. So there'll now actually be a subscribe button from there. It'll be popping up around about 20 seconds before the end of when I actually shut my mouth.
Yeah.
So that'll be there. Yeah. So do the like, you share, you subscribe, you thing with a bell.
We can look a little bit more professional now. We have end cards and such.
We've got end screens. We've got lower thirds on videos.
Ooh.
We'll soon have ways of being able to edit the audio.
Oh my god.
A little bit better, because sometimes Discord works and sometimes it doesn't.
That's correct. It does.
So yeah. Until that point, we will see you next week. Remember, watch all the other stuff that's on the site as well. And until next time, please don't kill each other.
Yep.
I know it can be hard.
Unless you do it with a farting granny, then
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
free to
because
just destroy everyone.
yeah, she'll destroy you all, and then she farts. So yeah, have a good one, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.